we are in a good old crawl space. Got bent over halfway into. These low crawl spaces are getting to be about, I mean, the air handler is almost on the ground right there. There's the top of it. It's just, anyway. So you saw the outdoor unit tripping off on low pressure. I'm assuming since we're running cooling, get under here. And the thermostat's in a call. It's a two-stage system. And if you look right there, it just says fan. Now that should say cooling 1, cooling 2. But this is a sign that our AFC board here is not responding to its call for Y1, Y2 properly. We'll find out. One of our guys came out over to our Friday afternoon late and diagnosed this as a bad AFC board. So far he's looking right, but anyway, trying to troubleshoot something like this in a little crawl space like this is a pain in the ass. I ain't gonna lie, it just is what it is. But anyway, let's see what we can come up with. See if this fixes it. Alright, so let's get the door off. And you try to trick temporarily, and the guy said it didn't get through the weekend, so I don't, it's got more than likely a board problem. But what we did is we reset everything, got the EEV back in a kind of a default position for refrigerant flow, and disconnected the stepper motor from it so it would stay there. Disconnected Y2 so it would run in first stage, and then the first stage is 70% airflow, so we disconnected Y2 outside just to try to get some temporary cooling. But I'm guessing that didn't work, because it didn't. The guy told me when I got here it ran for a while after he left, and then after that, that was it. And you look at the corrosion on this board right here down at the bottom. I don't know if you can see it right in there. And the problem with some of these crawl spaces, but two-stage units, sometimes they get a little cold. You might get some sweating. If you look right there, a little bit of, I don't know, but some rust and crud right there on that board. But we'll swap it out. So yeah, disconnected the EEV so it would stay in a fixed kind of a mid position to get some refrigerant flow, so it wouldn't shut down basically all the way. And so we'll put that back on, and we'll get this board swapped out, and see what we can come up with there. So well, I think he just disconnected Y2 outside, because I'm still wired up right here for Y1 and Y2. Everything here seems to still be connected, so I think he just disconnected the EEV, so the stepper motor, so the EEV, once he got it, it's set in a kind of a maybe 200 step, 180, 200, 230 step position. There would be some metering in this, and then just because the airflow wouldn't get above what it was running at, disconnected second stage outside, so try to get something temporary until we can get back. So let's get this board out. The thing I like about the Trane A is you don't have to sit here and disconnect all the thermostat wires. There's a plug harness now. It just comes right off of it, plugs right to your new board, so you don't have all the little screws you gotta sit there and mess with. And I've told you guys before, I think in the past, personality module, you take that off the old board, put it on the new board, because that's what tells the new board what unit it's being installed in. So alright, so we got all these wires here. Jumper there. Get that disconnected. And we'll start getting all our little screws out. And it's pretty humid under here. I mean, the ground's not soaked, but it is humid, which is kind of, these TAM air handlers help a lot with that. Those metal air cabinets, TAM air handlers or carrier good, whatever you want, doesn't matter. The metal cabinet air handlers. That little bit of thin insulation lining they put in them is just not, you know, when you get down into the southeastern region where the humidity is real bad in these crawl spaces. And then it's 90 degrees outside. So the air conditioner's running like all get out to keep the house cool. You got that cold air going through those metal cabinet air handlers, they start sweating. You can just run your hand across the bottom of it and just fill up a glass of water. These TAM air handlers don't do that. They don't sweat. They maintain that a whole lot better. It helps out with that. So you don't have a cabinet like that. What was that old TWH Trane air handler? The bottoms of those things used to just rust slap out. And they had that door on the end that you would pop off. And then your electrical stuff was back behind it. It went from the top to the bottom. And that thing would just be rusted and locked on there. You might have a unit running just fine, but the cabinet be rusted, slam out. And there ain't but so much you can do to seal one of those up for a temporary time frame. And you just got to replace the air handle. Some of the things running, yeah, well, we have taped up and sealed as many rust holes as we can. We cannot keep it running anymore. We're gonna have to replace it. So I'm not seeing anything on the back of the board, but you can see all this corrosion on this plate right here. So there's been some sweating going on in here. Let's get the new one in place. And I've got the disconnect. When I came around and saw it tripping pressure like that, I just went ahead and turned the power off outside the disconnect. And when I said got under here, it was doing the same thing it was Friday. It was just saying fan. The thermostat's on and cooling calling for both stages. I set that up before I came out, and it's just not, for whatever reason, responding to that call for Y1 and Y2. Now, I didn't check when I was here to see if I was getting it at the air handler. He did check that. He said Friday. And confirmed that it was getting a call for cooling fan and reversing valve right here. So double check that. But anyway, let me get this board in place and then we'll get it turned back on and see what it's doing. No reason for you guys to sit there and watch me sit here and put screws in. Alright guys, we got the board in. Old board there. The corrosion was down in here. The way you can see that. But down around in there. These little things are delicate as all get out. I miss a relay and a contactor and a sequencer, to tell you the truth. Anyway, let's turn the breaker back on. You can hear that motor. It's running through a test cycle for the EEV. You hear it backing back off. So we are in idle right there. So that thermostat should be resetting right now. The 850 Trane thermostat. Yeah, because we got a relay panel. Over here, if you can see that in the dark, but relay panel on it, 850. Moving up to a 2-stage from a single stage, and rather than run all the thermostat wire, we just put a relay panel in it and use a 850 communicating thermostat, and it works just fine. So no fault codes flashing. We are idle. We're waiting on the thermostat, and as soon as that thing comes on and starts calling, we'll confirm. Should get a display on that CDA on that door for cool 1, cool 2, and we'll go turn the disconnect on to the outdoor unit and make sure everything's running okay. Make sure the airflow is running like it's supposed to. Alright guys, our thermostat has reset, and let's see, we are calling for stage 1 cooling. Our control is responding appropriately, cooling 1. And we'll have to wait for that thermostat to kick it into 2nd stage. The outdoor unit is powered back up. We'll go out there and see what it's doing, make sure the pressures are good, and hook that 2nd stage terminal back up. So I was about to not hook up to this thing. A wasp came out of here just as I sat down. I don't know if there's a nest back there, but he flew from there over into that Time Warner cable box right there on the side of the house. So I don't know if he's got a girlfriend over there and another girlfriend over here. I guess we're getting ready to find out when I get this cover off. And I ain't taking the drill out for that. I'm just gonna, that screw's not even, and the hole's stripped out. The problem we had was the thing was, we got here Friday, it was out on low pressure out here. Call from the thermostat, 1st and 2nd stage cooling, and when we got under the house, the CDA, or the display on the air handler, was only showing, oh no wasp nest, it was only showing fan, which means it was only responding to a call for G, or for the blower to run. For it to run in airflow stages for cooling and heating, it's got to get a call for Y1, Y2. In that model air handler circulation, or just a call for G, you're only going to run at 35, 40, 50% airflow. So if you got a 2-stage unit, this one, what size is it? This unit is a 3-ton unit. So you got a 3-ton unit, which is what, 1200 CFM, and it's only running 600. This thing's going to, on a long run time, it's hot outside, it's going to trip low pressure, start cycling. So that control board basically wasn't responding to all the calls it was getting, just the fan call, but it wasn't running fast enough to keep up with what the outdoor unit was doing, and the unit was tripping out on low pressure. So that was the problem. And the only solution is to replace that control board. We did try to temporarily get it to work by locking that EEV into a fixed position, taking the stepper motor off of it so it wouldn't change. And then we turned his circulation airflow up on G to 70%. But he said that got it maybe into early Saturday, and then it just stopped cooling altogether. So whatever was going on with that board finally just quit, and it is what it is. It's electronics, all this electronics. It's just the nature of the beast. But glad I'm closer to my last day than my first day. You know, maybe the new guys starting out with this stuff, it'll be easier for them. I mean, I don't have a big problem with it. It's just aggravating. You kind of get aggravated with it and messing with all that stuff. And I mean, I do miss the old days of relays and sequencers, and then the, you know, keep it simple, stupid kind of stuff. And I've worked on enough of this the last 14, 15 years that I'm comfortable with it. Doesn't mean I like seeing it. Doesn't mean I'm a fan of it, but it just, you know, if I was past age 60 when all this stuff started coming out, I probably would have hung it up, but hang in there with a little while longer. Started Joe's Heating and Air. If your unit is any newer than 2010, call somebody else. So anyway, she's up and running. The pressures are looking good. We're at 128 and at 270. I'm not going to really check the temperature probes. Put my refrigerant in real quick. I got a 44 degree evaporator coil, a 90 degree condenser coil. I think I'm gonna be fine. Still in first stage. I gotta, actually the thermostat may be calling, so let me go ahead and hook that second stage wire back up real quick and see if it switches over. It should. If the thermostat's calling, and that's how that thermostat is. If it's, you know, it's 78, 9 degrees in there, I turned it down to 65. You put a demand on it, after a while it will, but if it feels like the temperature's cooling down while it's in first stage, the thermostat will just keep it in first stage. So I gotta take this door off. I guess the thermostat wires are back behind this one. But I mean, it's, once you get familiar with it, it's like anything else. Just a bigger pain in the ass, that's all. Okay, there we go. So let me hook second stage back up real quick. We're not getting a call for second stage yet from the thermostat. It's been on about 7-8 minutes, but our problem is resolved. A circuit board, and that's the bad thing about those. It's just, it limits your ability, like you had on the other stuff, to be able to bypass something and kind of get it running until you can get back. These boards go out. I mean, you just, if you don't have one, you're up shit creek pretty much. So it is what it is. Technology, you gotta love it.